So I remember just getting off the plane, anxious to meet my mission president at the end of the stairs, and coming out of the airport with like my huge suitcases. And then immediately as we exited the airport, I just like, you could immediately feel the humidity. I got there in the middle of June, and so it was just, I'm from California, so it's a little bit humid, but nothing compared to Texas. And I was just like, oh, this is gonna be a long summer, but this is great. And the first day was really long because there's a transfer meeting in San Antonio, but also a transfer meeting in Austin. Austin's about an hour and a half north of San Antonio. And so we went to the mission home and had a great dinner, but there's also a really neat tradition in the TSAM where the assistants take all the new missionaries down to the Alamo in downtown San Antonio, and we pass out a Book of Mormon in Alamo Square. And then the assistants gather all of the missionaries together and tell the history of the Alamo. It's this great story about how Texas was fighting Mexico and battling against Santa Anna. And eventually they win, and one of the commanders draws a line in the sand, and he tells everyone who's fighting for Texas and America that if they're on his team, they better cross this line. And so when you go down to the Alamo, you get to cross the line, dedicating your life, your next 18 months or 2 years to the Lord. So it's a really neat experience because there's so much history and so much pride in the TSAM. The culture of the TSAM is remarkable. It's a cool thing to be obedient. It's really neat to be in a mission where not only is the Texas pride huge, just like the state, but the mission pride is really a remarkable thing. And so you can feel that the first night that you're in the mission. It's overwhelming. You're just pumped to be there. And then we went back to the mission president's home and ate and got ready for the transfer meeting the next morning. And I was transferred up to Austin, so I was at the San Antonio transfer meeting and went back up to Austin. And it was there that I finally met my trainer, Sister Howard. I love her to pieces. She was so patient with me. So patient with me. That first transfer was probably the hardest part of my mission because I was prideful, just like the state of Texas. I thought I knew everything, and I didn't at all. And that's probably what made it so hard, is that I just thought I knew what I was doing and could have listened to my trainer better and been a lot more humble. But the days were long. I remember in that first transfer, you don't think about how much you can actually do in one day until you look at your planner and you're planning out every single half an hour and you're like, oh man. But my faith really increased throughout my mission. By the end of my mission, it was like, okay, there's not enough time in the day. How on earth are we going to visit everyone? How are we going to find everyone the Lord needs us to? The first Sunday in my mission was Father's Day. So I was already really missing my dad and my family, and I don't think I was too homesick, except for that day I was like really just bumming because I love my dad. And we were knocking on doors. We knocked onto this Baptist preacher. So Texas, I don't know, I consider it part of the South. There are a lot of great believers down there. So we met with this Baptist preacher, and he went on and on and on to tell us about how Joseph Smith wasn't a prophet. And my trainer was just like trying to responsibly like calm the situation down, but I was just like, no, he is a prophet, and was just like probably playing devil's advocate with this guy a little bit. And eventually he grabbed our hands and bowed his head and just like prayed with us, and he prayed that we would be led to the truth and find all these great answers. And I was so irritated. I was just, and heartbroken at the same time. I was like, what? You're kidding me. Like, this actually happens out here? And I was devastated and went home and was really like broken up about it. And that kind of became my fire to really gain an unwavering witness that Joseph Smith really was a prophet, and that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the Lord's kingdom on the earth today. And I remembered that experience throughout my mission as a driving force to help people understand that God's kingdom is here. It's on the earth and we're building it. So I was definitely humbled in that first little bit, but grew a lot as I realized that I wasn't the one in charge.